First wait, let's first finish this.
Can you put it out?
What we need is be careful. You have the flashes. You have the flashes.
In fact, we have to remove it from that.
Yeah. Just slow it down.
Yeah.
Can I cross it? Yeah, you cross and
You can just wait for
Wait on the stove. That is why. I think that's a motor. That's a motor. That's a motor. This big motor. So it's just laying up.
So that is the demonstration for the robot.
Senu, I am from Pilgrim Africa, an NGO working with the Konyi victims and the war-affected people of northern Uganda. We are based in Soroti, and we are here with part of our students who are in our school in Soroti, and they have been involved in the robotics activities. So this is Soroti Municipal Secondary School, and the students behind me are part of that school and the teachers, and they are going to explain to you how robots work and what is all about robotics. So I'm more than glad to pass this on to them, then they can explain that for us.
I am Dennis Oleke, a former student of Soroti Municipal Senior Secondary School. And what we're doing right here is, these are robots right here, and I'm part of the team called CyberNet Uganda, a robotics team for Soroti Municipal Secondary School. Some people know it as Beacon of Hope College. So today we're here and demonstrating this robot here. And what this robot does is basically we have designed it basing on the game of this year, 2016 and 2017. The game of this year is called Velocity Vortex. The name came, I think the name stands Velocity Vortex because we deal with shooting lots of particles and balls. And this is what we call the wafer balls, or in the name of the game, we call it the particles. And the more you launch this up, because the more you shoot it up, it projects like projectile motion. And due to that motion, it creates a velocity, which it gives the name of the game, Velocity Vortex. And before starting to do this kind of robotics, we call it FTC robotics. Before we started doing FTC robotics, we had a small kind of robots we used to deal with. We call it NXT or Lego Mindstorm. And this year, basically we just advanced to these new technical robots called FTC. And the beginning of this year, we had a big competition in Galaxy International School, and we managed to be like one of the best in the country. And not only looking at ourselves as students who could be sitting right at school and trying to think about what the robot is all about, but thinking about the robots and thinking about robotics outside us. And we found that it is very important for us to build the practical idea of what we learn in class, of physics and math. And we feel it more practical if we participate in some activities like this, like robotics, because we found that it is the best idea and it's the best material for some of our dreams and some of our goals. And with me, these are my fellow students, and they are currently still enrolling in Beacon of Hope or Soroti Municipal Secondary School, and they're really interested in robotics. And not because they're doing it for fun, but they're looking at it as a future arising from it. And for me personally, I did it for my last 4 years, and this is my fourth year, I can say. And it has given me not only popularity, but it's given me a lot of opportunities, because out of robotics, I graduated from Beacon of Hope, and I'm joining a school outside Uganda, and that is in Oregon State, in United States, for my degree in mechanical engineering through robotics. And I stand here to challenge the rest of the students from wherever they are to take note on robotics as some of the thing which is very serious, and it will really impact them, not only impacting their life, but it will impact the community and it will impact the country. And if we stand while knowing that our country is lacking this, then we really need to work for them. I know lots of time we stand and go through hard things, but not the hard thing we go through should limit us from what we want, but knowing that we need to work for those things matters a lot. This robot, we had quite a big challenge, and we built it in 6 days. And right here, I don't think we have any challenge right now, but everything seems to be working so well. And that's the only challenge we had, because getting parts together was a bit of challenging, but sitting as a class and reasoning on how we wanted our robot to be built was mattering, was a big issue. And so we had to sit and brainstorm on how we want our robot to look like. And after having those ideas, it didn't take us much time to work on building it. Imagine you put it down in a paper, you draw it, then you get it from the drawing to a big design, which is like the mechanical part of engineering.
Robotics is helping us in so many ways. First and foremost, it starts like a toy, a game. Kids learn how to put together the various elements. Like if I can show you this one here, this is the basic form of robotics, the elementary side. Now all of these are components which are put together like a game of Lego. These parts are all separate. This is the main computer or the motherboard. It's also a separate entity. These ones are sensors. This one can hear, some can hear sound, others can see in their own way. So when you have all this put together, the student is taught how to program this, how to program the sensors, how to program the movements, and then these are motors to drive it. So we train the children to think of how to make various different parts come together and create a moving, working object which can do something. And that something is basically that a machine which can help a child do something. So once they have mastered this, then they graduate to this level here. So why do we do this? One, we want to encourage our children to think and ask the question, how can I solve a problem? Many times we wait for them to finish campus and look for a job and start on, but it's too late. Let them start from lower school. They learn how to think, and also number two, it makes them have interest in physics. Because here you have got to program a number of things in physics. They learn how to use computers. Suddenly, computer, not just for playing cards, or watching movies. It becomes a machine for programming and planning. Thirdly, they have interest in mathematics. So this robotics makes a child think more than just being theoretical on a practical manner, and that's why we encourage students to do this. Once they do this, they become very disciplined. They have free time, they are doing robotics, they are planning, they are working together in teams, they learn to work as a team, they get a team leader, and now when they go into competitions, they also get certain benefit out of that. So that's why we're doing this, to help our students to become more practical, but also interested in sciences, which can help them to become better students and young people in our country. We got them as a donation from our sister school in the US. The first came on, but then we've been buying now every other time because the interest has been growing. So we, as a school, we provide for the money, then we go and buy and we get these kits and then bring them into the country. So we have to invest as a school. Short of that, we can't be able to have enough to go around. But the first ones came as a donation. And if you want to buy also, they're available in the market. You can get them. Very virgin, I would call it subject and field in our country. I think right now in Uganda, it's mainly available at university level. People are doing masters and do robotics. But at lower level, it is very, very unheard of. So it's virgin. So I want to encourage the ministry and government to look on how we can encourage this across the country. Now, if a school like ours, which is Soroti, a school designed for really poor children who came from very difficult backgrounds, no parents, no guardians, they have been to war, they were child soldiers, and we bring them no nursery school, no proper primary schools, and they can come up and learn robotics like these kids did. As you've heard, we're the best in Uganda. We beat all schools in Uganda in robotics when we had a competition in Galaxy here in Kampala. We went and competed in the US. They've just come from the US about 3 weeks ago. They came 9th out of 12 schools. Now that is a US high-tech kind of lab. These kids did very well. And now as we talk, we have been given an invitation to go and compete as the only school in Africa against the Israeli top schools next year in March. So these kids are going to Israel next year, and they're going to represent Uganda. And we shall be the only African country, the only school on the continent in that competition. So if our school can do that, we believe every school in Uganda can do this, and want to encourage as many schools as they want to come on board. Number two, we hope we can have more and have competitions within the country, because right now we are very few. We can't even compete among ourselves. But if there are many schools in Kampala, in Arua, in Ilira, in Karamoja, in Mbarara, in Kaval, in Chisoro, in Jinja, Busia, we can all have a national competition. Uganda can perhaps become the leader in East Africa in robotics. But so thirdly, we hope that we shall be preparing the next generation of engineers and the high-tech computer scientists who will come out of Uganda because of robotics. That's our hope and desire and dream. The point is that robotics is like the ABCD of innovation in the science world. So what we're thinking is that when children and people learn that you can actually use a robot to solve any problem, like the one you saw here, it was basically picking items from the object from the ground. That's like an example of cleaning. So it can be modified, and instead of having people running around suffering under the sun and the rain cleaning Kampala streets, we can set up a big robot which can go through the streets at night and cleans Kampala, removes the rubbish, pours water, and by the time it is by morning time, the streets of Kampala are very clean. You can use robots to plow, use robots to sort rice, to peel matoke, to peel Irish. I mean, the manual stuff, you can do anything. It's just that we can put our brains together. How do you put a knife into a machine, plan it to peel a matoke, for example, and when you come back from work, you just find the matoke has already been peeled and just put in the saucepan and you cook. So the sky's the limit. It's up to us that if we can encourage this, we can solve any problem. And instead of waiting for the Indians, the Chinese, the Americans, or the Europeans, we can begin to produce Ugandan designed robots. Like now we have the Kira project by our students. This is the ABCD, that kind of like activity at robotic level.
For PO, and I am the instructor in robotics in our school, Soroti Municipal Secondary. And this particular robot is designed to pick up items. For example, it has a collector. This one is a collector, things that look like noodles, and it's able to pick up, they're made of rubber, so it picks up these balls when they turn around, and they come in, and then here, there's a small damper here that shoots it out. Here we have a shooter. It's kind of like a roller, a wheel. It forces the ball down and comes up, shoots it out with real force. A robot must have particular items, components to make it really work. We have motors, we have, for example, right here is the motor underneath. You have to look at it. And we have the wires, we have the computer. If you look at this side, we have the phone that is working as a computer. We program this phone. Actually, we use Java for programming. And you program this from a computer and download it onto a phone. When you're programming, you're actually sending instructions for particular activities that you want the robot to do. Depending on this, on the type of the robot you've designed, like if we wanted it to pick other issues, other things, we'd build an arm, like a lever, kind of, an arm with motors all around that can have fingers to pick. But this one is designed to just shoot these balls. So the mechanism here is actually for balls. Yeah, but it can still, it can still collect other items. Yeah. So that is.
Because I saw it was picking at the same time.
Yes.
I thought it is just specifically for cleaning.
It's picking, collecting balls all over. So if they are scattered all over, you can go and collect them, take them to a bucket, shoot them inside, go again, pick more. There's a bucket there, shoot them inside. You know kids when they play around in the compound, they throw things, bouncing castle, you know what, balls all over. So you send the robot, instead of a tired man at the end of the day to go Yeah, so that's it. Yes, that is Lego. And when you reverse the car, you see it makes a sound like a beep, knowing that, informing you that there is obstacle. So you have to stop. And then there is also ultrasonic sensor, which is able to sense anything, any object in front. Then we have the voice sensor, the sound sensor. You can snap, you can shout, baby can cry. This robot can be programmed to monitor your baby. When the baby cries, the robot will come back to you and tell you, baby is awake. Yes, you can. Yes, yes. If it is automatic, you can program it. As soon as it hears a sound, it will come back, baby is awake. Then you go and, you stop cooking, then you go and check the baby.
Now, for example, what happens when you walk on the other side and the robot has to come?
Oh, okay.
What will happen? Moving on rough surfaces.
Like we've designed these robots to move on a smooth surface. It's because of the tires. If we want it to move on rough surfaces, we change the wheels. It's just like the soldiers, when they are going to fight in a desert, they change the uniform to what it looks like desert. If you're going to a forest, you change the uniform. Likewise, for a robot, you have to change the elements according to the surrounding. Yes. So it's designed for smooth ground, for class, for teaching other students.
How do you see?
Robotics actually will lead you into many things, not only doing housework or chores around, but there is an element of programming which opens you to so many other things like critical thinking, creativity, organization, administration, how you have to handle certain tasks, from handle the small ones first and then the big ones first, how you have to classify your group. That is all learned from robotics. And also engineering. In future, this will lead you into a factory. You say, I was in a robotics team in my school, and we went for a competition, and we won. So that is a ticket for you to go to a factory and exercise your skills projects. Because for this year, like Danish Talk said, this was a game for this year, Velocity Vortex. This is the kind of game, it has its own rules that you have to follow. And if you follow, then you win the game. But next year, there might be another theme too. Yeah, so we keep receiving new themes every year. Yeah, but also we can design our own, tailor-made to make suit whatever we want. Yes.
The second level is this one, which is FTC, which is this particular equipment here and robotics right now in Uganda is only in Soroti. There are only 2 schools in Africa with this level. And it is Uganda and South Africa, one school in South Africa. But there's the next level which is called the FRC, whereby once you go through that, you can go and work in any factory where they're working on assembling any kind of like computerized robotic stuff. So once we are through, we shall go that level. Then our kids, once they are through, can be able to, even after S6, they go and work somewhere in a robotics kind of like lab or factory anywhere in Uganda or East Africa or outside the country.
Okay, I'm called Ogwang Moses. I'm going to Senior 6 next year. I study in Soroti Municipal Secondary School in Soroti. Being in Municipal, because it has given me a future. In fact, I aspire to be an engineer. But the truth is, in Uganda, many families, especially from the village, they want doctors, right? I came with that knowledge of being a doctor, but it wasn't in my blood. I don't know biology and all that. But when I came and got all this, there was support, and my teachers are so supportive in robotics. I got something to inspire me, something to move me. So I'm so proud of the school because I have the dream of being an engineer, and there's something that is pushing me from behind. Yeah.
I'm called Inyang Leo Eddie, and I studied from Sorority Municipal SS. I'm in Form 3. What I've learned from robotics, we have our slogan in robotics, which is called gracious professionalism. Actually, we learn how to cooperate and work as a team. It teaches us how to cooperate with other people, and in the team, we learn how to be as one. So in the team, you can't build this robot when you are one. So you have to come together to build up such a thing. Teamwork.
Atuko Rachel. I'm senior 4, Sorority Municipal Secondary School. Yeah, some time back I used to be afraid of saying that I want to be an engineer in future. But when I joined robotics, I realized it's not all about sex. It's all about everything. A girl can do this. So I realized even girls can do this better than boys. So I urge all those girls who are out there, they can do this because I also did this.
So projects.
Yes.
And when we see you engaged with boys to develop such robots, what message do you have for other girls, especially up country? Where
the message to all those girls out is not to be afraid of things because everyone can do this, not only boys. Most girls think that science subjects are meant for only boys, not for them. So they always keep their dreams, and at the end their dreams fade off because of being afraid of this. So
I'm called Abdul Hassan, senior 3. Abdul Hassan.
Abdul Hassan.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your contribution towards this project?
My contribution was they just brought me to Sorority Secondary School. Just joined because I love the school. The school is so proud of me. Anything. Yeah.
My name is Enyod Raquel, senior 4. My contribution, as in they divided people. Some people were programmers. Personally, I was a programmer. My contribution was to program how the robot could work using Java language. Yeah.
So you know how to speak Java language?
Okay. Calculations, math, and some physics is added in it.
Because when it comes to calculations, ladies tend to not be engaged with that. How did you get that encouragement to also be part of this?
Since my future dream was to become an engineer, I had the courage, and that made me to go to Sorority Municipal because of the club robotics, and I got more courage from the club to become an engineer.
Yeah. As they had, like our team, part of our team had gone to the US. They had a competition, as you heard from them. Like this robot was not built in Uganda, like it was built in US. And some of my friends, to get more details about the robot, you can come in touch with him because this robot was not built in Uganda. Okay, our friends had a competition in US, so they built it in 6 days. So before the competition, that's 1 week.
As I said before, I'm called Ogwang Moses. We built the first robot in Uganda, but as we're shipping it to US, it is stopped in Paris because people were anticipating the thing to be maybe a bomb, so it stopped in Paris and it delayed. Now, we had to rebuild another one, okay? So we had little time, the competition was coming, but everything has to be done perfect. You want to bring something nice. So sometimes if there was an error, like during the base, you have to bring something strong. Yeah, even a building, if you give it a fake base, it will crumble down. So we'd build it in cycles. We realized an error, we rebuild it. Then we had the problem with the shooter, this shooter, because the shooter has gears, then there are different kind of strength of the motors. So you have to calculate the PRM, how you want it to, how the strength of shooting, the angle. According to the game, it doesn't have to go above 6 feet. So if it is above 6 feet, it is an error. So we have to calculate that. And our robot was so powerful that it would shoot above the 6 feet. So we had to change the gearbox. Then the motor we had used broke down. So we had to change the motor again. And this support here for the ball is was hard and it would not allow the ball to pass through. So we had to change it twice. We first changed the first time we had put one plastic. The second time we doubled the plastic to become 2, and this is some better and perfect. Yeah, and we had a problem with this arm, designing this arm also, because this is what they call a servo motor that is driving it. Yeah, but this servo motor, it keeps coming out, so we had to figure out a way to fix it there and tie it inside. Yeah.
Say, I got the opportunity to study out, not simply because I'm special or having some uniqueness, but it's out of robotics. It all started from this NXT or the Lego, and for the past 3 years, this is what we have been working on. But when time came, my participation, like the way I used to participate, my participation was so good, and so it then started building up from there. And the time I traveled to the state, to US, that was in 2015. It's when I went for my first competition, and during the time for the competition, I didn't have that big dream of becoming an engineer. My dream was looking, as Moses said, my dream was looking at something to do with doctorate. And so when I got to the school, I got inspired by the students who were there. And my dream all changed from being a doctor to mechanical engineering. And so from there, they were like, maybe we see something good in you. Maybe we should give you support and get a good school for you that can support you in mechanical engineering. And that's how I got the opportunity to study outside. And that's why I keep advising any student who is interested in robotics to do their best. It's not really, really difficult. I used to imagine that it's very complex and difficult, but it's not really difficult. As long as we have that in our heart that we need to do it, we can do it. There are parts with holes, and those parts are aluminum. But it's not a must that you have to build your robot with this very material. You can use woods, ready available material within you. If you cannot access this, but you have the idea of what you want to build, and you know that there's a particular kind of material which you think you can use, as long as it is not very rare and it's not very heavy. But one of the most critical rules is that anything you're going to build as this FTC robot, must be within a 45 cubic centimeter, actually 45.7 cubic centimeter. And I can say you can use any material, but these things doesn't come when they already built it. They come pieces. Each piece stands alone. And there's no program. You download things from internet. And then those things, you compile them to create a program which you can use for running the robot which you're going to build. Then those softwares will be giving you, you will be using them for programming this. And you keep trying and making errors and several times, and you finally come to your final program which you think is really, really suitable for your robot.
UBC for giving us the opportunity to come and talk about what's happening in robotics in the school. Next year, we really would like to go and represent Uganda, and we are calling upon all Ugandans to stand with us, that as we carry the flag of Uganda to Israel and come back with the good news of our success, let it be a Ugandan success. So I want to call upon Minister of Education to support us, the corporate companies to come and join us and help us sponsor these kids to go to the US. And we'll be more than happy to say, welcome, let's go with the colors of Uganda and various other companies.
So you mean
Yes. Right now, the first trips, we've been footing it ourselves. This last competition, it was footed by our sister school in the US and us. We share the cost. But by next year, we are happy to ask the country to join us. Then we can go as Uganda's ambassadors to Israel. Yeah.
Services, also about